Hi everyone, it's Jana. I'm really excited that you're here today with me. This video is going to feature three what I think are life-changing tips for you to implement into your life actually starting today. We're going to focus on one spinal movement, one breath technique, and one little, I'm just going to call it like a little shiny gem that I've learned over the years for me. So first of all, the movement style that I have learned to love is Pilates-based movement. Joe Pilates talked about how the health of the body is dictated by the health of the spine. And so he said you can have a 30-year-old spine in a 70-year-old body, and that's the quality of life that person will enjoy. Conversely, you can have a 70-year-old spine living in a 30-year-old body, and that's the quality of life that that body will enjoy. So when we think about the recipe for movement, we want to move our spine 5 different ways every day. Today we're going to focus on spinal extension. So when we think about posture, seated posture, standing posture, we live on a planet with gravity. That gravity tends to draw us forward and downward, locking us into this forward rounded position. And so this is very common in today's society. And what starts to happen over time is our circulation is impacted, our digestion is impacted, our sleep is impacted, simply because we no longer live here anymore, but we now live here. Everything is compressed, compacted, and nothing can work efficiently. So when we talk about spinal extension, in the Pilates world, we have an exercise called Swan. A lot of people in spinal extension, if you think about looking up to the sky, watching a plane, or looking at a rainbow, or a really beautiful fluffy cloud, or even drinking that last sip of wine, people tend to take this bowling ball, this 8 to 10 pound bowling ball, and hang their head off their spine. So if you think of those bobblehead dolls, your head is hanging off your spine this way. There's a lot of compression. There's not good biomechanics being used there at all. So what we want to do is we want to teach the body how to go into extension, the spine to go into extension with the lengthened, we call it axial elongation approach, where the little disc structures that live in between those little bony vertebrae are not squashed. So spinal extension, who is it good for? Really anybody. Even if you have, let's say, a disc issue, a bulging disc, a herniated disc, spinal extension is really important for you. So I'm going to just I'm here in my home studio. You can obviously be on the floor, on a mat, just somewhere comfortable. You want to lay on your front for this exercise. And so in spinal extension, I like to do this one where my hands are kind of out in what I call goalpost position. So not too high up where my shoulders are crunching my ears, but far enough down that I can feel the back of my neck nice and long, and I can see my fingers in my peripheral vision. Notice how my palms, my wrists, my forearms are all down on the table. So from here, what I start to do is I envision my spine like a garden hose. I want water to flow freely through my garden hose. So I'm not going to kink my garden hose, which is what a lot of people do. It actually creates a lot of discomfort in my low back and in my neck. So I want to think of almost bringing the tip of my nose down to the mat or your floor. And you want to think of a little marble under that nose. And with that little marble under your nose, you want to roll it forward just until your nose comes off the floor. And then notice how my spine is in a nice lengthened position, the back of my neck. I'm going to keep that as I continue to breathe in through my nose and float up. And then on the exhale, I'm going to come right back down to my start position. I want to make sure my palms and forearms are actively pressing into the table or into the floor, as are the top of my feet. So when I inhale, I'm starting to use these muscles that live on the side of my spine, your low back extensors, to do the lifting, not my head. And then exhale and come down. So if you were to do 6 to 10 of these in a day, not many. I mean, during a commercial break, inhale up, and exhale down. What it starts to do is it starts to take the spine out of that forward rounded position, and it's encouraging the opposite patterning, which is really, really important. And then when you come out of this one, you can just go on to all fours and kind of round through your spine. Give yourself a little bit of a break here, a breather here, in through your nose and out through your mouth. Good. Now, the second part of this is diaphragmatic breathing. Now, why is diaphragmatic breathing so important? Well, the diaphragm is your main muscle of respiration. If you think about it, it looks like an umbrella, okay? And when you inhale through your nose, your lungs fill with air, fill up this space in your rib cage, and so your diaphragm has to kind of get out of the way. But then when you exhale, that's when the diaphragm does its work. So if you watch a newborn baby breathe, you will see their belly rising and lowering very, very effortlessly. That's how we first learn how to breathe. As we get older and get into our teenage and younger adult years, we tend to lose the ability to use our diaphragm to breathe. And we start breathing just into our collarbones. It's very shallow. People get chronically sick because the dead, germy air in their lungs sits there, doesn't exit. And so we become this state of lack of oxygen. Our body doesn't have enough oxygen for its processes to be delivered efficiently and effectively. So today we're going to learn the diaphragmatic breath. The diaphragm is part of our core. Think of it as the roof of your core, with the pelvic floor being the floor and the 4 sets of abdominals wrapping you like a cylinder. So think of the core as a cylinder, not just what you see on a billboard or in a fitness magazine with the airbrush six-pack. It's so much more than that. We care about the six-pack, but what's more important is way deeper to that. The deeper abdominal postural muscle, or the deeper abdominal muscles, our transverse abdominals, give us posture. They create space for digestion and circulation, and that's really the epitome of health. All right, so you're going to inhale through your nose, and you're going to exhale out of your mouth, and it has a sound like an HA, or like you're fogging up a mirror. And inhale, and as you inhale, you want to even place your hand, one on your heart and one near your belly button. And you want that lower hand to feel more or move more than the top hand. Now, when you first start this, probably 9 out of 10 of us are going to feel this hand, the top hand, moving more. This is a skill you have to relearn. You can do this lying down on your back or seated or standing. And physiologically, what might start to happen in the early days of learning this breath is you might get kind of lightheaded. You might have this tendency to want to yawn. And like I said, those are both physiological responses to actually taking in levels of oxygen to get those cells up to a level where they have kind of full energy, tons of oxygen, all right? So I would suggest, even when you are at a red light, you have your seatbelt on, you can feel your body expanding on the inhale, and on the exhale, you try and pull that belly button away from your seatbelt, or if you're laying down or seated or standing, you try and pull that belly button away from your hand. So it's this inhale, exhale, like you're cinching up a belt 1 notch tighter. We're trying to get to those transverse abs, trying to get that dead, germy air out of the body. And this, in fact, will start to make a huge impact on your level of energy that you have if you're going in for an important meeting or an interview, or you're going to write a test, or just entering into a situation where you're a little bit anxious. This kind of breath can totally tap into your parasympathetic nervous system and relax you a bit, okay, help you focus. The last tip for today is just one of my little gems, I call it. So hydration. Hydration, if not started early in the day, can almost numb the body's natural thirst mechanism. So the part of your brain that says, I'm thirsty, if you haven't given it water early enough in the day, it's not going to send that message until way later. And usually by that time, you're dehydrated. So my little tip, actually a life-changing tip, is just taking that glass of water to bed with you, leaving it on your nightstand, beside your bed. And if you have to get up in the morning and go to the bathroom first thing, of course, do that. But start your hydration early. Those tissues need to be hydrated, so our muscle and fascial tissue, which we'll talk about in a subsequent video, how those two relate to each other, how they can work to make your body as healthy as it can possibly be. So there you have it, my 3 very easy, very pragmatic, what I would say life-changing tips today. That spinal movement, that extension, working on our diaphragmatic breathing, and then our little hydration tip. So thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you soon, and hopefully these little tips can help you lead your very best life.